Call the March 28th meeting of the NCIP to order. I guess you got to read the whole Bible before we take the roll.
Yes, I'll read the intro here. Okay, for public comment, receiving public comment. When it is time to take public comment, I'll read the following. The City of Monterey is committed to the safe attendance of its public meetings. Masks are required for all who attend, or recommended for all who attend in person. I think some of these are old. Let me see. When asked, we ask that attendees in the council chamber keep their phones and devices muted to prevent audio interference and feedback with the hybrid meeting. The City of Monterey seeks to continue to offer virtual methods for public participation in meetings. If you aren't joining us in person here in council chamber, there are two ways to virtually participate in the meeting. You may join the meeting directly on Zoom Gov using Zoom app on your computer or mobile device, and you can also call into the Zoom meeting. You can join the meeting on Zoom on your computer, smartphone, or telephone using the link or phone number on the agenda at isearchmonterey.org. Since the meeting has started, it's most likely in the recent tab. To call into the meeting, dial 833-568-8864 and enter the meeting ID 161-313-7270. And press pound when prompted. Detailed instructions on using Zoom are available at monterey.org/public meetings. To make a public comment using the Zoom app, you can virtually raise your hand by pressing the raise hand button at the bottom of your screen. If you dialed in by phone, raise your hand by dialing *9 and then unmute yourself when called upon by dialing *6, and you must do both. Public commenters will be muted until it's their turn to speak, and we'll call on each public speaker in order of their hand raised. And please stay within the time limit established for today's meeting, which will show using a countdown timer on the screen. If you are connected live on Zoom, the timer is accurate with no delay. And the meeting will also be streamed live on the city's YouTube account, which is accessible at youtube.com/City of Monterey with an approximate 10-second delay, and on Comcast channel 25 with up to a 90-second delay. All right, so I think we're ready.
Okay. If we could have roll call, please.
Aguajito Oaks. Alta Mesa.
Here.
Casanova Oak Knoll.
Here.
Deer Flats.
Present.
Del Monte Beach.
Here.
Del Monte Grove, Laguna Grande.
Present.
Downtown.
Here.
Fisherman's Flats.
Here.
Glenwood.
Here.
Monterey Vista.
Alternate John Sovereign here.
New Monterey.
Here.
Oak Grove. Old Town.
Here.
Skyline.
Good evening.
And Villa del Monte.
Present. Looks like we have a quorum, and also I do notice that the Oak Grove rep is present on Zoom, so I know she didn't answer, but
Thank you.
she is logged in. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. The first item on the agenda is general public comments. This is opportunity for the public to address the NCIP on any matter within our jurisdiction that is not on tonight's agenda. If I could get a show of hands in the audience and raise your hand online of anyone who's wanting to address us in public comments, so I can figure out how long it'll be. Okay. No, not on the agenda. So D12? Yes, it'll be on tonight's. We are doing downtown tonight, right? Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it'll be on tonight's agenda. So you'll have an opportunity when we get to Okay, I am not seeing anyone online with a hand raised either. In which case we'll close the public comments section of the meeting and move to approval of minutes for the February 22nd meeting. Does anyone have any additions or changes or comments on the minutes? Mr. Rowley?
Yeah, Tom Raleigh, Fisherman's Flats. Marilyn Maxner represented us at the meeting on February 22nd because I was coming out of surgery on the 14th. But anyway, on page 2, it should, where my name appears, under item 1, it should be Maxner. And then on item 3 should also be Maxner instead of my name. 2 corrections.
Okay,
Otherwise, I'll move approval.
well, okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, I'm not seeing any hands raised online or in public, so it's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes as amended. Roll call, please.
Aguajita Oaks. Alta Mesa,
Aye.
Casanova Oak Knoll,
Aye.
Deer Flats,
Abstain.
Del Monte Beach,
Aye.
Del Monte Grove, Laguna Grande,
Aye.
Downtown,
Aye.
Fisherman's Flats,
Aye.
Glenwood,
Aye.
Monterey Vista, New Monterey,
Aye.
Oak Grove, Old Town,
Aye.
Skyline,
Aye.
Via Del Monte.
Aye.
Motion carries, minutes are approved. Next, we'll go to informational reports and staff comments. The first item is the NCIP budget fund balance information, and I notice we have Raphael King online. I'm assuming she's gonna do a presentation to us, Reggie?
Yes.
And just
Yes.
to remind everyone, this is in particular to find out the origin of the extra 400,000+ that we have this year to work with. Go ahead.
Rafaela, are you there?
I'm here. Yeah, I haven't seen this presentation, that's all.
Oh, so these slides were pulled from the city council presentation, but we can talk on whatever you're comfortable with. So what we have right now, I guess just for everyone's I'll just give a quick, I guess, background refresher for everyone. What was presented, the reason for this presentation was back in February at City Council. Hans presented kind of the status of NCIP, including the fund balance that was available. And at that time, this graph was shown with including this $4.8 million. So generally, the last couple of years, NCIP has had a budget of roughly $6 million, which is what you see here for the last 2 years, and then also for this year. And that's coming from the 16% TOT revenue that comes to this to NCIP.
And interest, yes.
And interest, yes, thank you. And then so the question is, where was this roughly $4,750,000, the source of that funding?
So basically what happens is we pretty much have looked back, and we did a historical look back into about 10, I think we went back at least 10, 15 years, and looked at normally what's been happening is that every year when we give the amount that's available, we give it about what's the project amount that's there, and then also the revenue amounts that we are expecting and expenses for the following year. And I don't believe that anyone has ever went back and looked at a historical view. So basically, over the course of the entire program, any amounts that has not been spent for fund balance, right, it just basically kind of trickles up. And so this year, they actually went back and looked at everything from basically from the beginning of the program up until now. And so the additional fund balance that was available in this fund is 4.7, basically 4.8 million.
So let me see if I get this right. We work every year on an estimated amount that we're,
Correct. Correct.
so basically over the last wide range number of years, that was never in effect trued up to actual. And then having that money coming forward the next year. So in effect, this is multiple years worth of actual less the estimated amount.
Correct. So anything that was spent, or let's just say that, for example, you had a project that was for 200,000, and at the end, you only spent 100,000. This is what's left over. So we basically have been projecting, what the city has been projecting, based on next year, just taking an isolated year. And so this year we went back and looked at the entire thing and said, well, let's look at, so we're doing a lot of things differently and more comprehensive. And so as part of that comprehensive look, this is what came out.
But actually, we have always accounted for unspent amounts of projects and it went into ending balance. So, but my understanding is we've never actually compared the actual amount that was raised by TOT back against that estimate that we funded against.
Yes, and what was actually spent, yes.
So we're going to be doing this moving forward, correct?
That is the plan, yes.
So it's also safe to say this is very definitely one-time money and nothing that would be coming regularly in anywhere near this magnitude, correct?
Absolutely. That is
Okay.
correct.
The gentleman from Monterey Vista.
Rafaela, this is John Sovereign. This presentation labels the TOT revenue as fiscal year 23-24. But I believe Mr. Hardy's previously indicated that at least in the past few years, we're actually taking the previous year's revenue.
That number is actually the projection for 24-25. It was actually, the number is flat for this year for TOT, what we're projecting next year. So 23-24 and 24-25 are pretty much the same number for the revenues.
Okay, but that's not really answering my question.
I'm sorry, restate your question, please.
Are we funding the NCIP out of the previous year's TOT in arrears,
So-
as opposed to current revenue?
What we do is we take, when we do we give Public Works projections. We look at, this is what we estimate is going to be the funds that are coming in for the next year. And those are the numbers that we give that you would have available to spend.
So in effect, we're funding projects that we will be voting on this year with the TOT as being collected this fiscal year, correct?
No. The projects that'll come to you, is gonna be money that we expect to receive next year for the projects that you're approving for next year.
Oh, okay, next year being, okay, I always forget you're on fiscal year, so it's July.
Yes.
Yeah, and we're not actually even getting our funds approved until August or September in that fiscal year. So we're using next year's fiscal year to fund projects we're getting approved in next year's fiscal year.
Correct.
Okay. We've actually got some people online first.
Okay,
Can wait, or is it specific to?
Specific to,
Why don't you go ahead, Dennis, then we'll take a new question.
and thereby is how we got this catch up of 4.7, 4.8 million is because we're forecasting a budget for next year based on a forecasted revenue for next year. And then we're not truing that up.
Yeah.
Historically. Thereby, we got 4.8 million.
Okay, Luz, and then Chenier, and then Richard. Go ahead, Luz.
Yes, I just want to let you know that I've been here from the beginning. For some reason, my name didn't show, and you couldn't hear my approval of the motions and to be present. So I want to make that clear. Okay, I'm here. Okay.
Thank you, Luz.
Okay.
Chenier, go ahead.
So is the 4.75 million, does that automatically go into the contingency fund? Like,
No,
no, okay.
I think it automatically goes in the contingency fund. I'll just look at that.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's part of what we have to use this year for funding. We could vote to put part of that into contingency if we wanted to at that process. But right now, it's part, that's why we have 10 million this year to work with. Richard.
Thank you. I'm trying to comprehend where this 4.75 million resided. Is it just it's in a separate fund? Where's it been all these years? That's what I'm trying to find out. And I have a second question, if you'd like to answer that one first.
Everything is in the same fund. It's a slow growth. So over the years it's there, but again, there has been, and to use your terms, no true up done every year. So every year when we give the projections, we give the projections before we have audited numbers. It is around this time while we're doing the budget. And so you get a projected number for next year plus for the revenues and administrative expense to use. So there has not been a go back, every year and say what that true up number is because of the timing.
Thank you. I'm very grateful that you're working for the city of Monterey. Thank you. My second question is, when we pass projects, we embed 10% for staff expenses in each project. But here we have an additional expense of $450,000. I was wondering if you could explain that.
The 450,000 is the actual admin expense. I don't know the history of it, but it's a flat amount that we charge a year, and I'm pretty sure it goes to for staff costs and other those costs that are.
I will say, many years ago, we were having staffing issues, and NCIP at the time voted to pay for a project manager. And I'm wondering if that's the cost. We agreed to do that on top of the 10%.
I'll have to look just to give you a precise answer and see if there's one person that's like, that will be one person that's completely charged maybe to that fund. I'm not sure that that's the case or not, but I will look that up and make sure you have the answer.
Thank you.
And also history, Richard, on what you're referring to, because I believe we used to have an audit committee. And this, I believe, was the amount that the city was in effect billing the fund to offset a portion of city manager, a city attorney, and all the rest, like they bill all of the other funds. And we had multiple meetings with prior finance folks to audit it and make sure it made sense to what it was doing for NCIP. Some of us have had an ongoing issue, myself in particular, have an ongoing issue because we are not a special fund like the parking fund and the marina fund and so forth. And I question the legality of doing that, but until someone's willing to sue, that's the way it is. But I believe that's what that 450,000 is. I'm not sure if that includes the what we'd voted on for funding the person to actually handle project management or not. So Raphael, if you could look and see what exactly that's made up with and let us know, that would be greatly appreciated.
Absolutely.
Dave, go ahead.
So in that explanation, it sounds like this is over the life of the NCIP, this unappropriated fund balance. But I'm just wondering how COVID affected that, because I remember, everything got zeroed out. So would that just be the past few years since COVID, or was there actually funds in there that
There were funds that were in there, and I think what was zeroed out, and this was before my time, so give me a little grace. But I believe what got zeroed out were the projects
Mhm.
during COVID. And so the money that was taken from during COVID were from those projects. So that it wasn't go look at the fund balance. It was whatever the dollar amount that was assigned to those particular projects is what was taken.
Thanks.
Basically, this is money sitting in the account, not being accounted for or assigned to anything. So there was nothing that could be defunded because it hadn't been appropriated to anything. Go ahead.
John Sovereign, Monterey Vista. Just the last comment on that last conversation, not all projects were defunded. Some were deemed important enough or far enough along that they should continue. And back to you, Mr. Cello. I'm thinking that maybe that expense is the finder's fee for the 4.75.
Dennis, go ahead.
You
And
mentioned
then
that we,
Jamie.
you mentioned that we got interest income on the fund balance. Is this missing 4.8 million been gathering interest all the way along?
Yes.
No wonder we have so much interest. So it's actually gathering interest when the city council was taking our interest too. Jamie, go ahead. Before it got changed to be legal again.
Yeah, and not to beat this up too good, I think we've gotten pretty well through it. So the one thing just to keep in mind is that normally come voting night, we have the estimate for the coming year. At that point in time, the city is finalizing what its overhead charge is. And so we're not going to walk into voting night with a 450 flat amount. That should be a relevant amount as being measured to the relevance of the program. So, and I think it's interesting to double check and see. I don't think we have an actual 100% FTE being paid out of that right now. I think that position is no longer a filled position.
Yeah. Okay. Anyone else have any further questions for Raphael? Not. Thank you very much, Raphael. It was very helpful.
You're welcome. Have a good night.
Okay. Move on to agenda item 3. Which is the NCIP. The main reason we're here tonight, it's the committee review of the projects from Alta Mesa through Monterey Vista?
Glenwood,
Through Glenwood.
through Glenwood, yes.
Oh.
We're saving Monterey Vista for next meeting.
Well, okay. And the purpose of this is the opportunity really for for committee members to be asking questions, to have discussions on it. It is a public meeting, so anyone from the public can address any of these projects. However, there will be an entire another set of meetings specific to public comments on the projects. But again, it is a public meeting and we're happy to be taking them tonight as well. So we'll go neighborhood by neighborhood. Reggie will give a quick summary, I'm assuming, and then we'll open it to the committee for questions and discussion. Or actually, we'll open to the public first for questions, discussions, close public hearing, and then to the committee for discussions. And then when those are done, we'll move on to the next neighborhood until we get done tonight. Question? Yes, Tom.
I find it very hard to believe that thing like the Sausalito ballpark lights are in the downtown area. And I know we fought this battle before, but it's not appropriate in the downtown area. It should be listed as a citywide project, multi-neighborhood project. It's a Parks and Rec Commission project.
It is in downtown, therefore, per the direction of the council, it is a downtown project, whether we agree with it or not. Multi-neighborhood or where it physically crosses the boundaries of more than one neighborhood. So I understand, Tom. I don't necessarily agree. I think it's not, but that's the way it is. So, but Mr. Sovereign.
So, Reggie, I propose that you add a new column or metadata. Okay, location is one thing. but the sphere of influence or the effect of this project is either community-wide or one or more neighborhoods. These are two different things. Let's talk about them differently.
Actually, we can't. This was direct direction from the city council as to how, with the endorsement of the city attorney, because every project in the city is in a neighborhood. We fought that battle and lost.
I'll talk
We
about.
did get multi-neighborhood added back in, however. So
Right,
best
right.
place to address that is to the council.
Oh, okay. I would, so let's just focus on the projects for tonight. So there were, so as of the cutoff date for new projects for this year, we had a total of 69 new projects. And we had 31 returning projects from the 2020 era that have not either been approved and awarded, funded, and or withdrawn. So we're gonna, for a grand total of 100 projects. And tonight we're gonna go over 46 of the 100. And voting night for all the projects will be on June 6th. Just here for an overview of where those projects for tonight are. You'll see that the bulk of them are in the downtown area. There's a good number in Casanova Oak Knoll, and then kind of in Del Monte Beach, and then kind of onesie twosies in the rest of those neighborhoods. And then next, at the next meeting, we'll go over the remaining 54, which are heavily in Monterey Vista, New Monterey, and in that multi-neighborhood category. So Aguajita Oaks, there are no projects this cycle. So the first one we have is in Alta Mesa. There's one project in the Alta Mesa neighborhood. That project, the applicant has requested the installation of a sidewalk along Alta Mesa Road, starting at Alta Mesa Circle, heading down, I guess, down the hill towards El Dorado. There's sufficient right of way going down the street. The difficulty, so to speak, would be getting through on either side of Alta Mesa Road. There is a wall with a turret on both sides, so that would be the difficulty for this project.
It also would be how do we connect to the opposite side of El Dorado when the crosswalk is on the other side from where this is as well. So
there's some complications. Yes.
Okay.
So that's the Alta Mesa project.
Hey, is there any member of the public who's wishing to ask questions or speak to this project? Okay, seeing none, we'll bring it to the commission. I'll, as the rep for Alta Mesa, a couple of things on this. Number one, we are finalizing, I'll be finalizing with Reggie how we're going to get past the walls and to the crosswalk to be able to get across El Dorado, because that will then determine what neighbors I need to have to sign the petition to say that they want this. As a matter of record, the neighborhood association has already gone on, the board has already gone on record opposing sidewalks in Alta Mesa. I've met with the applicant, gone over, because the original application was very generic and was almost for the entire neighborhood, and she specifically wants it on this side, which is where her house is. She feels it's a safety issue for a lot of the walkers that come through, because a lot of people come up at high speed into the neighborhood, and is definitely wanting it. But she knows there will need to be a petition signed. And once I know exactly which neighbors I need to have do it, we'll be doing that. So you'll have that before we get to voting night, probably before we have the public hearing night. Are there any other comments or questions on this? Jamie?
I see a little walkway
It's on
behind the,
private property.
oh.
It's not, I don't believe it's in the right of way. So the question is, literally, there's a wall on each side. The other side also has a lot of trees, so it's said, well, Reggie and I are gonna have some fun walking it and figuring out what the options are.
Oh,
It-
okay, all right, so we'll move
Any,
on.
no other comments or questions? Let's move on to the next neighborhood.
Okay, the next neighborhood is Casanova Oak Knoll. There's 6 projects in this neighborhood. The bulk of which are sidewalk projects. I think 4 of the 6 are sidewalk related. So here I've kind of lumped 2 of them together. They're both kind of sidewalk completion projects along Melway Circle, which is kind of a bigger cul-de-sac-ish one-way street. And you see COK 01 calls for filling in this space here, which is approximately 4 foot by 4 foot. And then COK 02 calls in for completing. There's a curb ramp here, kind of right at the edge of the photo. And then there's the sidewalk picks up again right here at the truck. So from this run here, this section, which is maybe, I don't know, maybe 50 feet-ish, plus or minus, to connect the sidewalk from here to this other section. Any questions or comments on these 2?
Well, we go through them all and
Go
then
through 'em
we'll,
all? Right. COK 03 is a sidewalk completion project along Ramona Avenue between Stewart Avenue and Edinburgh Avenue, here in the neighborhood. And what this would entail would actually be, since we have this stand here of oak trees, would entail somewhat coming down into what is the current street and maybe extending. So what the street kind of bends in, the curb bends around and then goes in. We would end up maybe extending. We'd have to just figure it out, but there would be some work in here in order to install the sidewalk. And I'm sorry. And then the next, we have a specific request for $250,000 for funding for Fremont Gap Bike and Ped improvement construction. This would not be sufficient to fund the construction, but it's matching funds for other monies that would come together to complete the funding for the project. COK 05 is to replace what was here. So there were 2 radar speed signs that are now gone because they had expired, and we took them down because they were no longer functional. And that is on Airport Road between Little Ness and Lyric, I believe, are the 2 streets. And those are the projects for Casanova Oak Knoll.
okay, we'll open it to the general public and then we'll bring it to the committee, Richard, and I know your hands. So remember
Okay.
the general public that wants to address any of the projects in Casanova Oak Knoll. Okay, seeing none, bring it back to the commission. Richard, you want to go ahead?
Oh, yes, all the sidewalk projects are infill. What I mean is there's existing sidewalk and handicapped persons submitted these projects because they were walking, then they were forced to go in the street and then back up on the sidewalk. And after surgery, that's a risky move. So there's only 54 feet of actual 5 foot wide sidewalk on Melway. I wanted to combine that with the Ramona sidewalk, which is infill between Stewart and Edinburgh. And the submitter did go door to door. We will have written permission, already verbally agreed. All the neighbors agreed to do this, but there was problems with people coming out of Stewart and either crossing Ramona or going in the street with strollers or handicapped persons. So these are all handicap related infill projects. So of the 4 projects, there's only 3 because the Ramona one was double entered. So we're only doing 1 of those. So those 3 projects, the 2 speed traffic radar signs on Airport Road, they've been gone about a year. Actually, they were one of the first radar signs in the city of Monterey. They worked fine for a while, but then they just stopped. The GAP project, which is Casanova to Canyon Del Rey, was a previous project for design. It is designed. The amount of construction is 2.1 million, and we're having problems connecting with the grant because we're not as disadvantaged a community as some of the others. So the grants have been going there. But in the meantime, I was told a partial funding amount to this project would go towards community support. TAMSI has taken over lead agency on this project, so we can hook up to 4CAG in the 34 miles of bike trails. And I called Regional Parks, and they're going to sign on to the grant. So we got some more agencies involved, but this project will go nowhere until we can connect up the North Fremont Bike Trail with Canyon Del Rey, so we can go to Laguna Grande Lake. On the other side, last year we funded the Mark Thomas Bikeway, which will also hook up to the North Fremont Bike Lane. So our people will have a chance to go to Monterey or to Seaside or to Marina. Right now we're an island. We have to cross streets, intersections, driveways, freeway ramps to get from our neighborhood to the rec trail. So that's where we are. We will get the written approvals for the infill on Ramona, and basically it would be a sidewalk next to the present curb. To save those trees, there's no other way to do it. And on the other side of the tree, it would take a 6-foot retaining wall. So this is the most economical way. And that concludes the Kona projects. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Any member of the commission have any questions or input on any of these projects? Okay. Go ahead.
I want to thank Richard for the COK 04. This has been a long time coming, and the design has already been complete, and the city applied for grants and was turned down. So glad to see it back.
Thank you. Any other comments or input?
Chinyari has her hand up.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Chinyere.
Just have a question about the radar street signs. Do they have a known expiration date, or can they be serviced over time?
So the signs are serviced, but it's approximately 10 years of operational life, roughly.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, again, these have had actually, I think, more than 10 years of life.
Closer to 25.
Okay. No other questions or comments? Go ahead, Reggie, next neighbor.
All right.
Oh, sure. Please come up to the. Really, the time was before, but that's okay.
Oh, sorry. Real quick, I just want to echo what Scott said. Esther Malkin,
Okay.
president of the Laguna Grande neighborhood. We've been really working hard on everything that has to do with the GAP trails and the GAP project, all the trails over there. And I'm really happy to see Richard take this on because it actually partners really well with another project that we've requested.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, move on, next neighbor.
Deer Flats, there's 2 projects. One Okay, there we go. The new project is DF01, which is to install electrical disconnect in the neighborhood entrance planter. So in this planter, there's a series of like sconce lights. I think there's either 3 or 4 that light up the Deer Flats Park sign and then these trees. And I think so there's been some issues with trying to maintain them and so forth. So they're trying to get in basically like a box with an on-off switch.
So you can actually safely turn them off to work on.
Right. So you can safely turn them on and off.
Novel idea.
So that's what that project is. And then this is a returning project from prior years. And this is to install pedestrian signage and lighting along Old Salinas Highway. And those are the 2 projects in Deer Flats.
I guess my question is, why is that one classified as Deer Flats?
I think it falls.
It's actually, if it's closer to,
Yeah, I think
I mean,
this falls into the discussion that we had in the opening here. It has to have a neighborhood, so to speak, and this is where it fell last year. And I think for consistency, I just kept it there. So whether we agree or not, that's kind
no,
of
it's just, yeah, it's a long ways from Deer Flats, but. Hey, Dave. Oh, excuse me. Let's go out to the general public first. Anything to add or questions on the 2 Deer Flats projects? Okay. Not, Chenier, is your hand still up from before or are you? Okay. Dave, you
Sorry
want?
about
Okay. I had a feeling that was Dave. Dave, do you have any questions or anything you want to put into on these projects for Deer
Yeah, I'll
Flats?
just, and Reggie's probably aware of some of this history, but we went, and even Tom Hardy too, we went round and round with the city trying to figure out who owned the power at that street light to try to get the service interrupted. So what happened was that third uplight, the tree up on the upper side of that traffic island, had some damage. We don't know how it happened. It could be just the landscapers had hit it, but it's been fixed. I just need to reconnect it and trying to figure out who is responsible for that. We finally determined through Reggie's help that Bear Electric is the contractor. It's not PG&E because once the project was installed, when their wiring was run, PG&E got involved, but their city, they said PG&E said the city owns those streetlights. So just to have to avoid contractor work to come to, get the power interrupted was the idea here, that I don't want to be trying to reconnect lighting that's on a live powered branch. So yeah, that's the idea there. I don't really have a comment on DF02 because as you mentioned, I don't know really where that came from and why it's associated with us. So no comment from me on that one.
Okay. Any other commissioners have comments or questions on either of these 2 projects? Okay. Seeing none, let's move on next neighborhood.
Okay, Del Monte Beach. There are 7 projects, all new. Okay, so the first one is to install boardwalk lighting along the boardwalk. The second one is take a toy, leave a toy box along the beach. The third one is a monarch butterfly garden somewhere in Del Monte Beach, with one idea being the Spray Avenue tot lot. Del Monte Beach 04 was beach dune restoration, which is ongoing, but this would be some additional funding for that. Del Monte Beach 05 is to install some bike racks. I think these have been kind of ongoing projects across the city. Bigger bike racks for these newer, bigger bikes that people are riding. Del Monte Beach 06 is to repair and replace the metal cable railings. So if you can see in this picture, so throughout the boardwalk area, there's like a kind of metal, but it also has like a plastic kind of sheathing on that line. So it'd be to replace, and I don't think we can repair them, so it's probably replace. And then finally, this is a returner. I'm sorry. So there was one returning project. You'll see quite a few of these restroom projects, and I'll talk more about this in the staff presentation. But Del Monte Beach 07 is the return of upgrading these the porta potties to something more substantial in the parking lot. And I think that's it for Del Monte Beach.
Okay, let's open up to the general public for any comments or questions on the Del Monte Beach projects. Okay, don't see any hands raised or anyone rushing to the microphone. Let's bring it back to the commission. Jamie?
All right, we can add a little color. So we're kind of hoping on this one, DMB01, we're getting a lot of use on those paths, and we did get the funding to go and do an extensive amount of repair. We've been funding the repair of these a little bit at a time for a long time, and last year we got enough to put whole big sections in. And the hope is that perhaps when we're doing that, or maybe separately, we could put on some small lights. And I know Reggie's going to say they're not good enough, but we're hoping literally like the little ones that are just kind of solar, and they click on when you go by and they click off again. Because we want to do a lot of light pollution, but there are a lot of people out there after dark. And so some light to kind of show the way and show who's there would be nice. So that's the idea behind this boardwalk lighting as a non-permanent. So that's boardwalk one. Should I go through the rest of them?
Go through. all
Okay.
of them.
So number 2 is, yeah, so I guess other beaches have this. We do actually have a small accumulation of toys from time to time. We just kind of pile them up by the Portland Loose. The idea was to have an official box that keeps them clean and out of the way. And other beaches have them, which is where this picture comes from. So it'd probably be get some wood for Parks Department to build us a box and set it by the loo, and we're done, hopefully. So that's that one. Yeah, and in the butterfly garden, I think one of the issues is we need to research. I think this close to the coast, it's supposed to be nectar to feed the flying butterflies, not caterpillar landing spots. We need to get our science right. But this was an idea that came up, and so that's it, butterfly garden. And I just want to say, we funded here a big dune restoration, and it has been working amazing. So used to be after windy days, we'd have to dig our way out of the condos. And all the restoration that's been put in place has really made a difference. The trick is that the native plants are the ones that make a difference, not the invasive species. So there's some places where no plants have taken hold. The public's helped with that, or just changes. Like in this case on the left, the seawall is actually doing the erosion a bit the way we knew it would when we built the seawall. And so this is probably going to be just a small pot of money to get an advisor out and get some plants and fill in some of the worst spots and do some cleanup, because the major restoration seems to be holding on. So we'll probably come back with an estimated amount, but it won't be anything like what we've invested before. So that's for dune restoration. And then we have bike racks at the center of the beach. So what we find is we get bikes attached to signs at either end of the beach. So to the extent that the city has a bike rack program, maybe we can just get them in. That would be my first question. This is at the south end at the corner of Beach and Tide, but we also have them locking onto the signposts at the corner of Surf and Tide. So I don't know if we still have a beach or at a bike rack inventory.
I don't believe there's a program or inventory. What I meant was that NCIP has funded several bike racks over the last couple of years.
Okay. Well, and we have some down there already. So probably just if Parks feels there's a place to put it, put another 1 or 2 in at each end, something like that. So, and then the last one is, And then again, we have the funding to work on the path in a major way. And I don't know if that funding would cover the cables, so this isn't needed. But we do have right now, they're rotting. So you're walking along, you touch them or lean on them and they'll just break underneath you. So something to, and Parks is constantly out there trying to stick them back together. And then it just breaks about 10 feet down. They stick it back together and it breaks about 10 feet down. So this is just a maintenance project, which we do a lot of in NIP. So,
What the new and upgraded cables?
yeah, well, split rail would be fine according to the presenter, the.
No,
project
those would
presenter.
be firewood.
Oh, which is why I said cable.
But
And-
okay, any other members of the committee to,
Oh, and then the last one, we have this on hold, waiting for the study, really, that's in our mind. So we had this funded, it was defunded. We've got a study across the city. We'll wait for that.
okay. Any questions? Go ahead.
Yes, since they brought up bike racks, I'd like the committee to consider function over fashion. We spent some big bucks on these cutie things out there and they don't hold many bikes. And particularly the one down there by San Carlos Beach is rusting away like crazy. And so when bikes come up, let's get bikes that secure bikes and, they don't have to be real cute. This is
You mean you don't
This is
want
a-
whale-shaped bike racks?
bingo. Thank you.
Okay.
Speak
Just
for yourself.
thought for projects in the future also.
Okay, any other questions or Jamie, it looks like you have a, no, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I guess like one thing, like the bike rack, the picture, it seems like it's, adjacent to like a handicap parking sign. Is there actually space to put those or would that be encroaching on the dunes itself?
Well, and I think that's why we'd probably defer. In this example, that's a parking lot and you can see straight at the end of the picture, there's a flatter area and there's even an open space. And then forward of the Portland Loos, there's also some space. So I think it's more about somebody's just trying to find the right post, a strong enough post. And again, we do have that problem with other handicap signs. They are really good bike racks, which is not what the handicap want. Yeah, so yeah, thanks for that. And by the way, tan, that would be our only requirement, I think. Tan.
Okay,
Okay, that's it.
any other questions or input? Now, let's move on next neighborhood. They're flying through. We could have finished all the neighborhoods tonight,
No, well, I'm not prepared to do all the neighborhoods.
because it's downtown next.
All right, no, Del Monte Grove, Laguna Grande, 4 projects. All right, the first one takes us back to North Fremont Street. Pedestrian safety and beautification along North Fremont. And Del Monte Grove 02 is the purchase of the property at 500 block of Casanova Avenue with the specific intention of affordable housing. Del Monte Grove 03 is exercise equipment installation at Laguna Grande Park. And 04 is a returning project to install a memorial sign and or plaque of some sort in the circle. And I believe, yeah, that's it for Del Monte Grove.
Okay. We'll open up to general public. Now's the time, mister. Or, oops, you got beat to it.
So I'm Jean Rash, Monterey resident, and I'm commenting on the land acquisition, which is 04? 02. So it's a big one and it's a big ask, and that's why Esther and I are presenting it to you. And it's I'll repeat some of what's in the material for the public, but the project is for the purchase of 19 residential lots that are now for sale along the 500 block of Casanova Avenue. And the idea would be, it would be 100% affordable duplex or townhouses. It's been for sale for about 2 years. The land and any future residents would be forever owned by the city of Monterey as protected in the deed. And the goal is to provide housing for city workers and for families with children in the Monterey Peninsula Unified School District. The land has been subdivided already into 2.43 acres and 19 lots. The 2.43 acres are 19 lots. So this caught Esther's eye, and she came to me and I said, we really should try to get a conversation going about this opportunity, because it is an opportunity. We'll be taking a couple blocks of city-controlled housing in an already established neighborhood zoned R1 and R2, which can be designated 100% affordable mixed-income housing. And we believe that there's been such an emphasis on homelessness and lack of housing, especially rental housing, workforce housing, housing for children in the school district and the families in the school districts, that we hope there's going to be not only NCIP support, but community-wide support. We're hoping to get the land purchased promptly while it's available. And if the sale doesn't go through within 2 years, we return the money to NCIP. Our intention is to be applying for state and federal funds and for other aspects of the project, and seek contributions from the purchase price from foundations and nonprofits. A key part of this is Kate Daniels has gotten involved with the project. She heard about it and immediately got very excited, hoping that we really can attain more land. We met this morning at the property with Mary Adams, with Kate Daniels, with the Natividad CEOs, with architects, with Gino Garcia, with Kim Barber, Esther and myself. And everybody is excited about Housing for Kids, which is a new nonprofit for benefiting children's housing. And the energy is starting to come up from organizations, and now Esther will take it.
And then after Esther, Kate Daniels will take it online.
Yeah, we're dropping names. So yeah, this obviously, it's a big ask. We understand that, but this is a really, special opportunity for us. And so we know that the top two issues that have come up in city surveys that the city is battling with is homelessness and affordable housing. The way that we can help homelessness is by having more affordable housing. So that benefits everybody in the city, not just, my neighborhood or, the people that are hopefully going to be, living in that area. Housing, homelessness and MPUSD has identified 2,000 kids, just in our area. So we want to try and keep kids in our neighborhoods because, there's a lot of talk about teacher housing, but we can house teachers, but if they don't have kids to teach because all the families are leaving, we're kind of, not helping the situation. So we also, our city has, the city population doubles daily from commuters coming into the city to work here. We need to try and address that. It addresses the traffic problem, the carbon footprint, all of those things. And it taxes our resources, with all of these people coming in, whether it's the police department is stretched or other resources. The city has a goal to meet for the number of affordable housing units that they can build. The acronym is RHNA. The city is supposed to come up with 3,654 units. This would count towards that eventually. And that's a big deal because almost everything that the city is going to be building are apartments. And the idea with this is that we want to keep it to townhouses and duplexes so that families can have other options rather than just apartments to live in. So we have already had a lot of interest from to create a public-private partnership as well, because we know this is going to be a big project. And we're coming to NCIP because NCIP can allocate the funds quicker than going through the grant process. And our big fear is that we're going to have an LLC come in and purchase the land and then build 2 or 3 luxury homes instead of us being able to get all of these townhouses and affordable versus that. So that's why, the urgency timeline is, why we're really asking for this. And as Jean mentioned, there's minimal maintenance to the city once it gets purchased, unlike a lot of, like the old Capitol site. That's the giant maintenance project. This for the city is going to be minimal. So we're really hoping that we can get some help from you guys on this, because it is the only area in the city that we can add a couple of blocks to the city. Thanks.
Thank you. Actually, pretty good. Kate Daniels online. I don't know if we have to unmute her or she's.
Oh, yeah. I'm not from Parker. Can you? She should be able.
I'm assuming she has to be unmuted. Yeah.
Right. Let me see here. Let me see if I can.
She's under the attendees tab. Yeah, there you go. Allow it.
How about now?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Wonderful. Thank you all so much. And I realize this is Kate Daniels, and I do realize that this is an unconventional ask for NCIP. But what I bring to the table with Esther and Jean is just the experience of having done things like this before. And what I hope to be able to provide is the interest in terms of philanthropic dollars that could be partners with the city and help to create the funding that would match the city's investment, so the property could be purchased and turned over to the city for this vision. And when I talk about successful partnerships in the past like this, one that comes to mind is the Schumann Hart House. And this is how that project was able to move forward. The philanthropic interest that got the project off the market, got the building off the market, it was turned over in this case to a nonprofit. And so the development of the Schumann Hart House could begin in the city of Monterey. So like I said, it is unconventional. It's a little bit different. But I think if there was the opportunity from the city of Monterey, then we could in the future help direct the state and federal dollars that would be needed to support this vision, which is to create housing for our workforce. And it was very exciting this morning when you had folks like the CEO of Natividad talking about, even everyone up to the level of new doctors not coming to our area because they can't afford to live here. And so it's a crisis that we're going to have to resolve. This is just one piece of the puzzle, but it's an exciting project that Esther and Jean have thought up, and I'm very excited to participate with them. And I think by your next meeting, we'll know a lot more about what kind of interest is there to match such an investment from the city. So thank you just for your consideration and the opportunity to join you tonight. I really appreciate it. And I'm also loving hearing about all the other projects, because NCIP is a great program that perhaps we need at the county level as well, that could give jurisdictions like Monterey even more opportunities like you have before you tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor. Or Supervisor-elect, I guess.
That was a first. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Okay. Any other members of the public, and then we'll bring it back to the commission? Okay, seeing none, we'll close public hearing and bring it to the commission. And actually, if we can hear from the neighborhood rep first,
Okay.
and then we'll go to Mr. Sovereign.
Okay, just to add a little color, DMG-01, the beautification for North Fremont, the genesis of it was because, the early renderings of our, the bike lane project showed a beautiful bikeway as well as sidewalks. Well, the bikeway happened, but not so much the sidewalks. So that's what the submitter had in mind when that was created. DMG-02, we've heard, and I won't even attempt it to add any color, that is, and DMG-03, the exercise equipment. This came about because there's a real need for exercise equipment specifically designed for seniors, people that may not be able to afford a gym, like say even the sports center, for example. That's what the submitter had in mind. And the submitter is very well versed in exercise and physiology, et cetera. So that's why she felt
And we might see some examples of what you guys have in mind at a future meeting.
I'm hoping.
Okay.
And DMGO, where are we? Back to 04, yeah. That can be decommissioned, removed, whatever the term is. I talked to the submitter and that's gone.
Hey. One less.
That's all I have.
Okay. Mr. Sovereign.
I'm very supportive of this project, Esther and Jean, but I have a question. Why aren't you asking the city to fund the down payment instead of the entire amount?
Yes, go ahead.
Do you mean the city or the committee?
Well, same thing in my.
Well, not really.
Well, okay.
I took it
You're
to,
asking the NCIP first, then you'll ask city.
yeah,
council.
well, no, I talked to the city first and they're basically broke. They don't have,
We are part of the city.
right, but the city funds besides NCIP, I took it to them.
The question, Esther, is why not get a loan? Get us to give you money for the down payment as opposed to the entire 4 million.
I don't know that we can do that. The Realtor is,
You can't. The city can't. City council will have to prove this. The city council can approve debt.
Jean, do you have any thoughts on this? I took it to the city and there was no.
I guess what might be the best is we're going to be having a whole nother meeting where we're hearing this. I think it'd be nice to know if there is an approach where we could take, where the city basically borrows money for it, and instead of funding the entire purchase cash outright, we're funding down payment for a loan.
Yeah.
I doubt you have an answer for that tonight.
Right, you're on the right track. We're looking for creativity, we're looking for partnership, we're looking for ideas. You can call it a down payment. We're hoping to get more contributions, so I don't know what the final number from NCIP that we would ask or need would be. I'm not sure what you'd be willing to kick in. It's an open question about how to get enough money to get the acquisition. And you're right, Rick, the next meeting, I hope Kate will have a lot of contributors.
I think the idea is to look at is an option to do have the city take out financing for it. So you're not talking about having to come up with 4.
Yeah, well.
It'd be a lesser amount.
Or is only a portion of it. And,
Yeah.
you know, we just want to get it off the market. That's the element of, urgency, because we're afraid that it's going to get bought by someone who we don't want to do.
I think we understand that. It
Yeah.
might be good to see, what kind of options there might be to
Yeah,
do
no,
the
it's a
other
great idea.
approach
I'm
before the next. So
Super happy to
we have an idea of,
hear it.
yeah.
But thanks. I know it's a big ask, so we get it.
Okay. Any other, Jamie?
I would remind us, we've done land acquisitions before and we bought the land in Del Monte Beach and we had it in our inventory. We're able to use that and leverage it up into some very effective benefits. So land is nothing new. I would point out that with only 19 units and just for the land purchase, that means we would be spending $757 billion at this run rate to accomplish the entire 3,600. So I would hope that, and I know we're going to bring this back, so we don't need to address it right now. I would hope that we look at concepts like how can we be efficient with the maximum number of people and how we use our monies to provide this housing. Land is always an asset. We could buy this land and just have it be a park, right? Housing is important, but I hope we look at things, and also we also want to hear about water and feasibility also in the future.
Okay, Richard.
Yes, a lot of my questions were answered by the other comments. I do have some remaining ones though. There's different ways to attack this. We have vacant land in this case that's been on the market from what was said is 2 years. Maybe there's a possibility of doing a cash option right now, raising enough funds to get it taken off the market until past June. That's one method of attack. The other is, would it be more efficient to purchase an apartment building that's on the market and then converting that to 100% housing? I'm looking at construction costs, water, all those issues, which could be answered by purchasing an existing structure right now. So that's another option. But there's so many unknowns here on who's going to kick in what and how much it will cost and whether the landowner will actually agree to the price that the parties participating agree to. It being on the market 2 years is a warning. That's my only concern. But getting housing for city staff and MPUSD employees, absolutely. Agree. Thank you.
Okay, any other members of the committee? Go ahead.
No, thank you. Thank you for bringing this here. I think just like more clarity on a few of the things that have been brought up so far would be helpful, I think, in the next time we meet. In particular, the issue of water's been raised. And so given that there are wells on the property, like what's like the minimum success that you could have like for the water that's already there? And then what's the maximum? I think the number of lots is stated here, but the number of units isn't necessarily clear. And so haven't I
That's what putting out there, the original proposal for 22 townhomes and 40 apartments there.
Okay.
So it's been adjusted and it's actually been on the market for significantly longer than 2 years. It's been on the market, they dropped the price and that's what caught our attention.
Okay.
No, thank you for the clarity, but yeah, it's, I think, updated information, I guess, like on that potential. Okay.
Yeah, because again, well,
Submit ahead of
in
time.
what, you got basically 4 weeks until the next time we're gonna be hearing on the project, so, which is great. And then there's another 2 to 3 weeks before we vote, so you'll have opportunities. Okay,
So, we're pretty confident. That
okay, we need to move on to Dennis.
I would wonder if it hasn't gone off the market in 2 years, is there an environmental issue there, like leftover Navy plume from the north side of the airport, et cetera? So I'd be very curious about that.
Mike will know a whole lot more in the next meetings, I'm hoping. Okay, any other?
There was a raised hand online.
Oh, Chenier, go ahead.
What is the listing price of the property?
7.7. It was 8.1 before they dropped it, and when they dropped it is when we started kind of thinking about this. They dropped it by you know better than on that.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Let's move on to next neighborhood.
Okay, downtown, there's 23 projects in downtown. Are starting with DT01, install a stop sign at Webster Street and Camino El Estero. This is that intersection, and just a note that we have an approved lighted crosswalk project that's in design on this same intersection. DT02 is to install install video surveillance cameras at the entrance to Dennis Dominguez Park. Just a note that currently the city does not have a policy for surveillance DTO 3, beautification of Fremont Street sidewalk along San Carlos Cathedral and School. DTO 4, improvements for both the infield and outfield at Jacks Park. DTO 5, stadium lighting replacement at Solicito Junior Field. DTO 6 is the installation of a shade structure in the barbecue area at El Estero Park. DTO 7 is upgrades of energy, lighting, and electrical systems at the library. DTO 8 is exterior upgrades at the library. DTO 9 is to replace the pavers along Alvarado Street to be more similar, or as an example of what's at the convention center, conference center. DT 10 is to celebrate the 40th anniversary of the Monterey mural at the conference center. I think it includes the purchase of some new additional art. DT 11 is sea level rise is educational signage along Lake El Estero along Del Monte Avenue. DT 12, convert tennis courts 1 and 2, which are the ones in this picture here behind the fence, to pickleball courts at the Monterey Tennis Center. DT 13 is upgrade Monterey Tennis Center lighting, courts, fencing, and pro shop. DT 14 is accessible beach mat wayfinding signage along the rec trail in this instance. DT 15 is community mural at the Wharf Marina Resource Recovery Facility, which is this building in the marina lot along the rec trail. DT 16 is a returning project. It's Great Blue Heron sculpture restoration. DT 17 is another returning project, which is Jacks Park Interest Baseball statue relocation. DT 18 is downtown restrooms. DT 19 is Monterey Bay Park restrooms. All right, so then there's 2 Hartnell Gulch projects, DT 20, DT 23, both returning. It would be park improvements and stream restoration. DT 21, El Estero Lake edge improvements. So kind of this muddy, like shoreline area. DT 22, another returning project would be to reconstruct driveways along El Dorado Street. And those are the 23 downtown projects.
Okay, we'll open up to general public first. I believe we have a few people who've been patiently waiting.
It's for DT 12.
That's multi-neighborhood.
Okay. Hello, I'm Richard Snelling. I'm thrilled to present our proposal to enhance the Monterey Tennis Center by incorporating pickleball courts. Our
Okay.
plan, which involves an investment of $60,000, will result in the creation of 4 pickleball courts, 2 temporary ones, and the refurbishment of 5 tennis courts with marked for pickleball. I'm excited to announce 2 significant partnerships that will benefit our community. Firstly, we have teamed up with Break the Love and Walmart to offer special Walmart shoppers already at the Monterey Bay Racquet Club and soon the Monterey Tennis Center. Walmart shoppers will receive 2 free plays per month at the Monterey Tennis Center. This initiative aims to make pickleball more accessible to all members of the community. Secondly, we have collaborated with Renew Active by United Healthcare to provide even more opportunities for active living. Renew Active members enjoy free play privileges at both the Monterey Tennis Center and the Monterey Bay Racquet Club. In Monterey alone, we have an array of pickleball courts, 7 at the Monterey Bay Racquet Club, 8 at Monterey Peninsula College, 2 at Via Paraiso. Excluding military pickleball courts, we still have a total of 17 courts for a city of 30,000 residents. That's an impressive 56.6 courts per 100,000 residents. or 1 court per 1,764 residents. Comparatively, in second place, the renowned city of Seattle lags behind with 20.5 courts per 100,000 residents. Moreover, at the Monterey Bay Racquet Club, we successfully hosted 7 USA pickleball sanctioned tournaments, 2 which were at the Monterey Tennis Center, while at the courts at the Monterey Bay Racquet Club were under construction. As the president of both the Monterey Tennis Center and Monterey Bay Racquet Club, I've had the privilege of welcoming some of the best pickleball pros in the world, including number 1 Ben Johns and number 2 Colin Johns, Jesse Irvine, and Etta Wright, among others. The Monterey Bay Racquet Club boasts over 100 members, and we've successfully building a vibrant supportive community. We aim to do this at the Monterey Tennis Center as well. By adding pickleball courts downtown, not only will we diversify our recreational offerings, but also bolster local businesses. Moreover, this plan redirects resources from potential new courts at Ryan Ranch, easing traffic on Highway 68. With these partnerships in place, our revamped facilities will not only cater to local residents, but also welcome visitors and promote active living. Together, let's seize this opportunity to enhance our recreational options, support local businesses, and improve communities' quality of life. Thank you for your support.
Thank you. Ms. Rash.
Hi, Jean Rash from Monterey. I just want to caution again, like I did last year on 04 with the synthetic turf. And, you know, the data on the plastics going into the water as these products decompose is escalating. And Millbrae has outlawed synthetic turf in their city, and other cities are doing it. And Governor Newsom signed into legislation in October a bill that would allow cities to outlaw synthetic turf. So it's I sent, I think, all of you some literature on it to your emails. So I just don't think we should be doing harm with our NCIP dollars. We're worried about the health risks created by the chemicals presented in these lawns, including all these big words: perfluoroalkyl and polyfluoroalkyl substances. These are the PFAS chemicals that we read about, and bisphenol A, commonly known as BPA, which are leaching out of the synthetic turf and into the water, causing known carcinogens and neurological impairments. And we're so dependent on our groundwater, and we're a marine sanctuary, so it just, that's the last place I would put my money. So if the proponent can come back with an idea about natural grass, or maybe there's some new product that I don't know about, but I'm just concerned about contaminating our water. Thank you.
Good, thank you. Any other members of the public before I bring it back to the commission and have Kurt be the first speaker? Okay. Don't see any. Okay, we'll close the public hearing portion of it and bring it back to the commission. Kurt?
Okay, a couple of questions, actually. Well, on DT01, the stop sign at Webster and El Estero, Camino El Estero, I did meet with the applicant and explained that we did have the pedestrian crossing going in. They were still worried about the number of accidents or near collisions they see at that corner. Their office overlooks the corner, and they hear a lot of screeching tires. So they're still, and I did explain that they probably have to go through the traffic study first, but they still want to keep this on the list. Then the other question I had on DT21, the El Estero. There it is. The city got a grant to install or start working on pumping some of the water out of El Estero up to the recycle center so we could put it back into the groundwater. Couldn't some of that funding be used for this rather than having NCIP have to pay for it? Can we look into that?
I got a nod from,
Okay.
Yeah, I guess.
look into it.
Well, we
I'll
can.
translate that to the online.
Okay, and then the other, the Heron statue, it's sinking. It's still sinking, so it's been on our radar for a little bit. But I think when we first talked about it, it was going to be really expensive. That was back when Jeff was here. But I don't think it's going to be quite as expensive as we first thought it would be. So that's still an issue. And then, of course, we've got all the Parks and Recs issues coming back. And that's really all I had.
Okay. Any other member of the committee? Mr. Sovereign? And then Mr. Rusella.
So Richie, you know, I have to say something about pickleball. So correct me if I'm wrong. You operate the tennis center as a concessionaire. Is it city-owned land, right? And didn't the city do a major resurfacing within the past few years?
Course supposed to resurface.
Every 3 years. But the city pays for that. So the city's not doing this fast enough for you? I mean, can't you just wait until, you know, a couple years go by and you can do this reconfiguration then?
Well, the idea would be to get it done for things, but we already have cracks in the board. It's temporary fix. So, we have a pipe that goes over. But we do need to get the board.
So let me just ask one more question.
Do we get people with their microphones?
Yeah.
Could you come up to the microphone?
Oh, sorry,
when
Rich.
speaking?
Yeah.
And John,
Why don't you
speak into
repeat?
yours when your microphone.
Yeah.
So the courts are cracked again. Unfortunately, those courts are fairly old, and so the cracks need to be resurfaced more often, and it's substantially less than redoing the whole thing.
So why do you see this competition between this project and Ryan Ranch?
Because we have 56.6 courts per 100,000 people already, and we are able to offer free pickleball to AARP members, along with free pickleball through Walmart. And so this project would deter traffic on Highway 68, and we can use NCIP money for other projects, because this project is $60,000, which is substantially less than the Ryan Ranch project.
Okay.
Okay. Richard and then Tom. Go ahead, Richard.
Yes. Let's see here. Yes, I'm still on. I'd like to direct to Parks and Rec when they review projects. I have some issues about artificial turf too. I see a lot of pro teams going away from artificial turf because it causes more injuries. And also, there's the problem of limited life, high expense to put it in. But after 10 years trying to recycle it and redo it, you're seeing a lot of communities going back to natural turf, less injuries and less harm to the environment. So what I'm asking is Parks and Rec, as part of their review, discuss if they want to continue with artificial turf, or should we go back to natural grass for the various reasons. But this is extensive countrywide right now, so there's big changes. The other is a heron statue is a very expensive statue. We got to keep it from sinking into the lake. So yeah, there are a lot of projects that got delayed, but some have a critical time attached to it. That's the last of my comments. Thank you.
Mr. Rowley and then Jamie.
Back in the old days when I was a tennis player, interclub was always, you needed at least 5 courts. And if you take 2 courts from your one facility that's got 6 courts there, you're not going to have enough for interclub competition. So don't you have any kind of interclub competition anymore? That's my question.
No, that's a good question. And so basically with Interclub is there really isn't as much anymore. There are USTA matches, and for those USTA matches, we only need 4 tennis courts. It's not how it used to be. Tennis has kind of gone on the decline where pickleball has gone on the incline. I was a collegiate tennis player, and I play pickleball now mostly because of injuries, and I still do play some tennis. But there's just been an influx and change. So 4 courts would be perfectly fine. At the Hyatt Regency at the Monterey Bay Racket Club, we have 6 pickleball courts and we have 3 tennis. Well, we have 7 pickleball courts and 3 tennis courts, and we're fine with that. So.
Okay, thank you. Jamie?
Couple things to run over. Library lights, Solicitor lights, and I don't know if it's on the list somewhere, Jack's Parks lights. One of the things that strikes me is that PG&E offers on-bill financing so that the energy savings pay for the project. It's essentially free. And I'd sure like to do that for all of the different light projects before putting my cash out. And I understand that, savings will eventually pay it. I'll just put it this way. When the savings come from the improved lights, it doesn't go back to NIB. So on-bill financing from PG&E will pay for efficiencies, and it might get that Jack's Park done we've been asked to do for 10 years. So can we qualify? 2, I just want to point out, I'm a little disappointed at the location of the beach mat and the fact that it doesn't go all the way down as far. So I'm not sure if it's actually meeting the needs of when that was actually put together, but just something to think about. And for the pickleball, coming back to future meetings, I would point out we've had a lot of people coming in from the tennis side to speak about the loss of courts. So we will want to understand both sides of this. And one of the reasons that the Ryan Ranch was approved is that the tennis folks in town were very adamant that they did not have more courts to lose. So I think we can bring that information back the next time it comes up. And I think that would help the committee understand the balance is being achieved. That's what I got. Thanks.
Okay. Any other member of the public? I've got a couple of things to add. The Lake Elistero Lake Edge, this has been ongoing for multiple years. And my understanding of what it is the lake edge gets undermined by, let's say, wave action, but things. So you actually get some dangerous scenarios where it can actually collapse under someone when they're at the edge of the lake and fall in. That's what's about versus as opposed to muddy area or things of that. At least that's what it used to be when it came before. Maybe the nature's changed. The baseball statue of getting that moved, why it didn't happen when it was funded originally and it took 4 years to figure out how to move it down, I don't know, but we had done it before. The only thing when we're talking pickleball is my understanding is it's not free at the tennis center for all residents to pay, and I understand you've got to deal with Walmart, and if you're ARP, it's free, but if I'm a 12-year-old kid, do I have to pay?
You're a 12-year-old kid? Yes.
Okay. Whereas Ryan Ranch would be free based off of coming to the thing. It's the only, there's a big difference between the two. I'm not saying whether I'm for or against either one. I think we need more pickleball courts in the town in general. But
we have the most courts per capita in the entire world.
To be honest, I really don't care. Per capita really has nothing to do with it. It has to do with the demand we're seeing from people coming in, asking for more and doing it. I don't know on the thing. And, I'm not in Seattle. I don't play pickleball, so I don't know. But I know we've sat through a whole lot of discussions with a lot of people, from tennis players to pickleball folks and all the rest, debating the issues. So it's a project in front of us that we'll be looking at. We're looking at all the rest.
Yeah, I'll bring.
I just wanted to make sure it was under. There is a difference between free for all residents and free for some residents.
Well, actually, no, a 12-year-old could use the Walmart package for first.
If they like Walmart and want to have, and their parents want to have anything to do with Walmart, but that's a whole different thing. Any other members of the committee to speak on any of the items?
Yeah, I had one more, Rick.
Okay, Kurt, and then,
I just want to let the committee know, currently I can't talk about anything in Jack's Park because it's within 500 feet of my property. So I'm not in the discussion. Hopefully the FPCC approves me being able to, but I just want to let the committee know that I'm not going to be involved.
okay, thank you, Kurt. We were wondering why you weren't chiming in on all those projects. And I'm just giving you a hard time. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yes, reference, video cameras on Dennis.
Mhm.
Since he seems to be a traveler, I'll pitch in for an air tag if the NCIP will replace the battery each year. We might find it faster next time. Anyway, thank you.
For the public who's not aware, he's referring to the continual theft of the Dennis the Menace statue. And my understanding is the video surveillance is proposed for the entrance, not for the statue.
That was my interpretation of the application.
Gee whiz, if I were a thief stealing it, I don't know that I'd go in and out the front door, but that's just me.
Well, yes.
The old location was at the entry.
Okay, so let's just make sure where it would be, but yeah.
Yeah.
Because if the goal is protect the statue, it really needs to be on the statue, not just the entrance.
Along with, like, are there any other like city operated surveillance cameras like that?
Yes, there is.
Go ahead, Richard.
Yes, several years ago, Tom Raleigh and I sponsored a project to put a camera, a monitored camera at the lower Presidio Park of the Sarah statue. If you recall, many years ago, somebody knocked the head off that statue. It's been repaired, and it took Tom and I a long time to get that monitored. And I'm co-sponsor of the one at Dennis the Menace. And from my side, I wanted the camera focused on the Dennis statue specifically, and it needs to be monitored. We don't need to know the next morning when somebody looks at the video and reports the statue is gone. We need to know when somebody saw it at the statue. And a monitored at an alarm company actually has an infrared sensor on the camera. So when somebody comes in that view, let's say after closing, it sends an alert to the alarm company. They call the police, they get you in process. That is my side of the proposal. I have no interest in putting a camera on the entry of the park. I want to protect the statue, which I believe is not reinstalled. If that can be corrected, but I knew the city was afraid of it going to be stolen a third time. So maybe Parks can inform us the current status of the statue. But I do want to see it back there. It's an essential element of Dennis the Menace Park. Millions of children go up and hug that generation after generation. I hate to see it go away because we're now running our city according to criminal tastes, not the public. Thank you.
To answer your question, yes, there is one at the Enid Bracero statue. That's the only one that we're working on.
Yeah, I guess, Richard, more so my comment comes as a parent of a young kid and the privacy issues of kind of like going in and out of a park.
Yeah,
it's a little, yeah. And so,
Wouldn't be
so
up
long as
front.
that's addressed, I think.
That's
Actually, it would only be for after hours when the park is closed. If that addresses your privacy issue.
Yeah, no, thank you.
okay. Any other questions or issues on downtown? Let's move on to the next neighborhood. Got through that a lot quicker than I thought we were going to.
Okay, let me get through here. Fisherman Flats. There's two projects. One, Fisherman Flats 01, and it's very similar to Multi-Neighborhood 05, but Fisherman Flats FF01 was specific to Fisherman Flats Greenbelt maintenance. And 02 is a return. It's a street light at Via Martemo, and just I'll just state what everybody probably already knows is that there's lack of support for this installation. So that's the two for Fisherman Flats.
Go to general public first, then we'll go to you, Tom. Any member of the public wish to speak on either of the two Fisherman's Flats projects? Okay, seeing none, bring
Yeah,
back to
I put
commission.
it separately for Fisherman's Flats to make sure that we had at least enough money to do our green belts, because they're very hard to get into. And it wasn't put in last year. Previous year, we had one big project covering all the city's green belts. So I just wanted to make sure we had enough to do it. And then on the light at Via Martemo, yes, there is support for it, except for one person. And that person has a basketball hoop in the cul-de-sac right now. I have not submitted a formal complaint to get that removed, but they want their basketball court there out in the thing, but not have it lighted. And there is a cut through that goes between Via Martemo and Via Sola through a concrete sidewalk in the green belt. And we have previously spent money on that walkway through NIP to redo that. It's been a couple of years. Periodically, it has to be done, but I haven't put in to redo the walkway until we get some light and make it more attractive. Particularly at the times of year before, well, now it gets dark earlier too, but the thing is, different times of year and different time zones, it really needs it. And it is a cut through that saves people from walking on Jocelyn Canyon Road, which is very hazardous. They can cut through that walkway. So anyway, it still is a need for this. And we submitted a long list of signatures. Everybody supported it except the one neighbor. So anyway, it is supported. Whether it has enough support to go against all the other projects. And last year I didn't push it because, it was a low priority. We didn't have enough money. We ran out of money. So, but there is support for it except for one neighbor.
Where is that one neighbor located in relation to this picture, and where the street light would go to?
Next to the telephone pole where it would be.
So he's the one most impacted by the light.
Yeah, and the other
Okay,
thing is
just want to make sure.
there's a new indirect lighting program where you can direct it down so it won't go into the guy's bedroom, but
Okay.
this doesn't satisfy him. So it's very frustrating.
Any other questions or issues on Fish Flats? Okay, let's move on. Next neighborhood.
Okay, last one for this evening is Glenwood, and there's one project, Old Capitol Site Park fuel reduction, again, similar to Multi-Neighborhood 05. Old Capitol Site, as I'm sure you're all aware, working on the Parks and Rec Department is working on the master plan for the Old Capitol Site. And that's where this photo on the left is from. But yeah, fuel reduction in Old Capitol Site. That's it.
Okay. Any member of the public wish to speak to this? And then we'll bring it to the neighborhood, back to the commission. Okay. Seeing none, close public portion of this, back to the committee. Go ahead.
This is 136 acres of the most absolutely beautiful parkland or forestry. I really would want to call it a forest. It's not a park that is going to lend itself to swings and basketball courts and stuff like that. This is 136 acres of forest that can be enjoyed by a lot of people, not just in the city of Monterey, all throughout our county and our area. And we've already approved and spent the money for the master plan. There's a company hired that is going forward with some ideas. We've met with them. We've had the first meeting with them, given our side of it, the neighborhoods, and everybody came. And we met over at Conan, the community room over there, and there's a lot of people gave really good ideas. This is a worthwhile project. And one of the most important things in this land, this forest land, is its trees and natural beauty. We have to preserve that. We have to clean that up. We have to keep it safe from fires. And doing the fuel reduction is the first big major step. And it's going to be a continuous one because it's 136 acres. There's ravines and gullies that it's going to be one of those areas, God forbid, if we have a fire, that the fire department will have to hike into because it's so vast and the design of the land. So I hope you can support the project. It's for everyone and it's free. Thank you.
Richard?
Yeah, maybe you can refresh my mind. Didn't we pass this project last year and was it done? And do we need this in addition? A little confusion here.
Yep.
It was 2 years ago that it was passed for, the original for the master plan was 75,000 and the cleanup was 250K. That got done, except the master plan did not get done because the bids that they received were way over the money. So they had to reject them and then they went back in and they had another company come in. So this is going to be the second time because of cleaning it up, doing the fuel reduction, because we lost the 2 years in there of COVID and we couldn't proceed to do this project. We couldn't get in to do the master plan wasn't completed. We couldn't move forward on it. And so that's why you're seeing the fuel reduction again.
Are you saying that we did not complete the 250,000 or we did?
We did, and this is the second go around.
All right.
Louis,
All right. It needs more. That's what you mean.
Louis can give us a really good answer if he'll come up to the podium.
You thought you were going to get away, Louis, without having to speak?
Let's go.
Richard, yes, we did the 200,000, but that's just a drop in the bucket. Originally, I think when we looked at this, it was about $1.5 million of work that needed to be done.
Whoa.
But we're chipping away at it every year. So, yeah.
That was a pun, wasn't it?
So yes, and actually we're going to get some CAL FIRE work in there pretty soon, and they're going to be cutting fire roads through there, which is going to help in case there's a fire. And that's going to be very inexpensive, but they're going to get a lot of work done. But yeah, we're probably looking at about another $1 million ongoing to just clean up all the area there where the trails may be for walking trails. So yeah, the 200,000 went pretty quick. We got rid of a lot of the logs that were down. We brought a big chipper in there, a big tub grinder, and did I think $60,000 worth of work of tub grinding the stumps in there. So.
Did that include hazmat removal?
Well, that we did ourselves. So
okay, thank you.
Is that it?
Yep.
Yep.
Thank you, Louis.
Go ahead.
Yeah, just has this project, have you guys applied for other grant funding, especially through CAL FIRE and their fuel reduction programs?
Any grant applications to CAL FIRE or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, being from Alta Mesa, whole capital site is rather critical for us as well, because I don't know if you say we're downhill, downwind, or if fire starts there, it's coming our way pretty quick. And the scary thing here is it's a lot of virgin land, but it's also one big campground for homeless and for others. And what they've hauled out of there is a little scary at times. So it needs to happen. Yeah, it's one of those things where yes, the city was given it for free, but the city was given a big liability for free. And just for those of you who may not know why it's called the old Capitol site, this is where the capital of California was going to be originally when the Constitution for the state was written in Colton Hall. And I don't know about you all, but thankfully it went to Sacramento instead. We would have been a very, very different town had it not. Go ahead.
Also, we're looking into, because Chomp owns some land over there. And two areas, they have the hospice, and they also have a part of the land over there that is going to be low-income housing for their employees on their land. Most of the grants for that land have specified it to be open land and not any other affordable housing or anything like that. So, but Chomp, the hospital, is probably going to do low-income housing over for their employees and stuff. What we're also looking to them, that there could be possibly a donation from Chomp that would go to the park for other things. Example, we're looking for 2 park rangers. We're going to need bathroom facilities and showers. We've specified no open fires there. We're looking to get revenue off of the RV kind of camping, that type of thing, and a lot of nature tours and things like that. We could even get some funding off of that. So we're working on it. We have 2 neighborhoods put together of a committee, and we've met with other neighborhoods to get some ideas.
Any other questions on Glenwood Circle projects? Being none, okay, we'll close this agenda item. Now, next item on the agenda is NCIP spokesperson report. I don't have a specific report other than I do want to thank Rafaela for coming. It's a little mind-blowing that the city had never basically reconciled the actuals of NCIP, and it's been sitting in a bank account or the NCIP account earning interest, which in the early years after the council took it, went to the council as additional funding, which makes one wonder, but I won't go there. But at least now we have that happening, and Reggie, I would like to see moving forward that reconciliation brought to us and shown what the actual was afterwards, so we keep track, and that way we know for sure it continues happening moving forward, next year and the year after. What really bothered me the most of this all of a sudden appearing at council was it made it sound like this was permanent funding. This is one-time money we will have this year to spend. It will never be back. So, to city council and others out there, please, the public needs to understand what the real funding is for this committee on an ongoing basis, not what a one-time thing is, because basically the city hadn't done its job historically. And that's prior finance directors, has nothing to do with our current regime in place. I want to make that very clear. They're the ones who found it and reconciled it and corrected it. And I really appreciate that. Okay, we'll move on to committee member comments.
I had a report.
Okay,
to
I'm sorry.
present before.
Well, actually, it is an
Well,
NCIP informational report.
Yes, informational. So if you give me a few minutes here, I give my presentation. Okay. So just kind of an update on where we are in NCIP projects. Since we last met, we've completed 4, all or part of 4 projects. We installed the rapid flashing beacon at the post office, Hartnell Street, Webster Street. Parks Department has been working hard on replacing boards at Del Monte Beach Boardwalk, approximately 233 feet. The Monterey Bay Park Dune restoration, specifically replaced some sections of split rail fencing. And one of the new water fountains, drinking fountains with the dog water bowl has been installed along the rec trail at Cannery Row. And then I have some photos of those projects. So you can, some new boardwalk sections and the rapid flashing beacon in front of the post or at the corner of Webster and Hartnell. And then you can see the difference here with the new split rail fencing. And if you haven't seen it yet, this is off of the San Carlos Beach at in the basketball court at the Coast Guard station. So we have a new water fountain there, so you can go check that out. Update on where we are with the projects and budget. We have 67 current NCIP projects with a budget roughly 11 million plus or minus. We're still looking to award contracts for other projects to move those forward. And we're currently working on roughly 20 active NCIP projects right now. Kind of status update on some of those. On April 2nd, we're going to have the Mar Vista traffic calming plan and the Fisherman's Flats traffic calming plan going to City Council for acceptance. Public restroom study is coming up soon for contract award next. I can't give you a specific date, but it's in the hopper. We have several ongoing projects. Forest management citywide we're working on that. Laguna Grande Park parking lot lighting. We got the Coastal Commission permit was approved on March 15th. We're working on scheduling construction. Veterans Park West parking lot. We have all of our permits in place. Construction, we're working on scheduling that. Ordering a second water bottle refill station on the rec trail. The Sports Center bike racks have been ordered, waiting for installation. Rec trail crossing at Casa Verde Way and Del Monte RFP was issued earlier this month. I think it closes in April with construction to follow. And at Old Capitol site, so the survey on the Have Your Say Monterey closed yesterday, and the results from that will be shared at a follow-up meeting on April 23rd at the Casanova Oak Knoll Park Center. Police department is working on finalizing a security, specifically the license plate reader cameras policy. And we're still seeking support for radar speed signs at Casanova Avenue and Jocelyn Canyon. Other work, we're looking at the extension of the boardwalk in Del Monte Beach, Mark Thomas Drive, that whole a sign, sorry, there's two different projects at Mark Thomas, but this is neighborhood sign that's with Caltrans. Colton Hall restoration, we're still working on pulling the documents together. We met with interested parties out at San Burnaby Drive for that project, restarted, so to speak. We met with them on March 19th. And working on the Webster Street Camino El Estero rapid flashing beacon and Mark Thomas separated bike path. That's also in preliminary design. I think that's it. So that's it for the current projects and what we got going on.
Okay. That's the kind of report we like here, Reggie.
Yeah.
Completed projects.
And we're working on completing projects.
Yep. Okay, now council commission comments, so go ahead.
All of you, thanks. And all of you, I've been attending these meetings for, I think, 4 years now. And it is different being on the other side of the dais. But thank you for your support, and just want to make sure you know that pickleball is not the only thing I care about. I'm also very passionate about public art. You saw the party that I'm throwing Sunday afternoon. That is a wonderful piece of art. It is probably the best, most loved piece of public art in Monterey. I hope you can join us. I also helped or submitted 2 public art related projects that we were reviewed tonight. I also want to say something that troubles me quite a bit. Back in February, I spoke in front of the city council when the city manager started claiming that this town had a fiscal crisis and was talking about taking money from the NCIP. And I strongly believe that the city of Monterey as an entity doesn't have a revenue problem. It doesn't have an expense problem. It has a management problem and a lack of imagination. And I'm not sure what to do about it yet, but I'm still listening. And if you have questions about that, please talk to me outside the meeting. Thanks.
Okay. Chenier, then we'll come back up in here.
So I'm aware of at least one project, New Monterey project, that I live very close to. So when we review projects, am I just not to comment on that project?
Well, I think in the past, we've gone with people weren't allowed, well, there was a waiver, you had to submit a waiver if you wanted to vote on a project that was within 500 feet of your residence, but I think Kurt is being super cautious, I would say. But we have submitted a letter specifically for Kurt in order to be able to vote on downtown projects.
So I just wouldn't be able to vote for it, essentially.
That's my understanding.
We
but
might want to double
we can
check.
dou-
with the
we can
city
double
attorney.
check.
That's not my.
Please check with the attorney
Yes.
because
That's why I'm asking.
I had to walk out of the meeting before when some of these projects happen. So you check with the city attorney.
Let's get clarification
So
from
I
the
can
attorney
get-
about participation prior to voting night.
Yeah, I can do that. One of the things that is on my list of things to do is to create the conflict maps and to pull together the projects and what are within 500 and 1,000 feet of people's residences. So yeah, that's on my list of things to do, but we can check as far as like discussions are concerned.
Yeah, we need to just want to make sure no one wants to get in trouble because we didn't do the right thing, but we didn't know that we had to do something.
And I have a couple questions. So my next question, there has been some discussion about considering a maintenance fund. Is that something we will discuss as a committee at some point?
We will when it gets referred to us from the council, which has not as yet done. We could agendize it to discuss it ourselves as well. But so far, the council has not specifically sent to us anything to consider.
Okay. And then my last question might not be a good question, but so there's a project specifically where the neighborhood association didn't support it because it didn't fall under the neighborhood plan, but a resident submitted it. So I guess my question is like, how important is the neighborhood plan? Does that always take precedent over what a resident may want to do individually?
Yes, it's supposed to.
Okay. And that's,
That's
thank you.
a good answer, Reggie.
Thank you.
Yeah. It'll be Lee and then Luz and then Kurt. And it'll come back to you, but we'll give the folks who do the first shot first.
I have to commend Reggie and Tom Hardy and their team, Parker, all the team of the engineers that are working on these projects for us. I love your updated report. It's awesome with all the number of things that are getting done. Wow, this is fabulous. Keep it going. We'd also like to thank you again for our packet. This really makes it a lot easier instead of all those things you can't see without a magnifying glass or big spreadsheets and stuff. You can do your notes and everything here. Helps you voting night. Thank you very much. And my third thank you is, thank you for the sound system improvement.
Okay.
Yeah, so on that note, there was, we did look into what happened at the last meeting. And we did have confirmation, so to speak, that there was, a fiber optic, line was cut, over in the neighborhood of, MPC at the time of our last meeting, which may have, caused, I mean, we had some serious issues for everybody that was here last time. So, so that seems to be what caused our significant issues with the internet and the phone system and so on. So
Okay.
hopefully it doesn't happen again.
Luz, go ahead.
Yes, I just want to thank you for all the work that is being done and the information. Most important, the information that our only project from last year, is being worked on. So we haven't been forgotten. Thank you.
It'll be Kurt, then Tom, then Richard, then Dennis.
All right.
Kurt.
So again, I want to thank the engineering staff. Things are getting done. This is amazing. We really appreciate that. And the other thing I'd like to see us do is, assuming that we don't fund all of the projects that came back that were defunded, I would like to agendize the status of those projects. How long are we going to keep bringing them back? I'd like to have that as an agenda item at some point, and we talk about that. Maybe with this much money, we might get them all voted in, but maybe not.
We actually did have a vote at a previous meeting that we'd bring them back the 1 year only this year. And then
Okay.
after that, it would have to be resubmitted by somebody.
Okay, I guess I missed that. All right, thank you.
Tom, and then Richard, and then Mr. Sovereign again.
Yeah, it's great.
He promises is excuse me, Dennis, then Mr. Sovereign. And he promises it'll be a very little one. Tom,
Yeah, Reggie, great to be back, and thanks for keeping track of all this stuff. And I realize it's complicated. One of the things that's coming up Monday, April 8th, is our annual Fisherman's Flats Neighborhood Association meeting, and we'll be getting presentations with stuff that concerns all of you here, which has been kept under wraps, quite frankly, by the city council. One is the study on the roundabouts on Salinas Highway. That project is still ongoing between Caltrans and TAMSI. And I talked to the traffic planner at TAMSI, and quite frankly, a couple of days ago, he did not give me a very satisfactory answer. He's coming to our meeting on April 8th, and that study is supposed to be done by September. And there's a lot of problems. And one of the things is the fact that we have 4 major housing projects going in on Garden Road. Some of you know about this, and one is due to be completed this year. Mr. Brad Slam, a developer, is also proposing on Tarpey Flats, which is where the airport was before it was moved in the late 30s to where it is now. Tarpey Flats is essentially a meadow that's undeveloped. It's got a lot of trees there that didn't have 30 years ago. But anyway, he has proposed, Mr. Slamma, 280 houses plus 70 units of affordable housing, which is 350 housing units, which is, quite frankly, how big is that? About half the size of Delray Oaks. And it's proposed in the county. So anyway, this is coming down the pike. And if you're not informed about it, you should make sure your neighborhood is informed about it. Ed Smith is our councilman. He's going to come and give a presentation also. So anyway, that's on Monday, April 8th. You're all invited if you want it. It's at the Living Hope Church at 7 p.m.
Richard.
Yes, Reggie, thank you to the entire engineering staff. With your limited staffing, to make progress at all is a miracle. Thank you. I really appreciate it. I was wondering if you could have Parker or yourself email out the packet, the full description of the projects. I seem to have not received that email. I would like to be able to read along with the details of the project besides just the list. And other than that, I gotta say, it's only 8:10. I'm shocked. Thank you. Good meeting.
And
So
there is
can-
a booklet that they'll figure out how to get to you, Richard, which actually has a printout of everything as well.
Right, so we do have a booklet, but then anyone can access the a digital version of the booklet through the city's website on the NCIP webpage. So,
I just have trouble getting that link. If you just send me the link, I
Okay.
would appreciate it.
yeah, we
yeah.
can send the link, and we also have a booklet.
Kind of get lost on the website.
Okay.
Dennis. And then Mr. Sovereign.
I just have two, one's a comment, one's a question. I love the booklet. It looks like a CIA redacted document. I mean, it's like, I'd like to know who all signed on saying this is a good project, but I can't see the names. So do I know it's fake or is it real?
And that was me, and I did that because maybe it was my own caution, but I can provide, because I didn't want all the names out on the website and people's addresses and phone numbers and email addresses. So, but if anybody wants a specific, report or not application, I can provide with
So it wasn't just-
unredacted.
It wasn't just me going, man, this thing looks like Nixon's tapes.
It was done on purpose. Yeah.
The other question I had was the Windermere water drops on the lowered side of the road. Am I missing that on the projects being reconsidered? Because I don't see it on the list anywhere.
It wasn't on the list, but I think all of the Windermere projects that were submitted prior to this year have been approved and funded.
There was $1 million taken away from that neighborhood for the going down the hill where the washing out is going on, which is now 2.5 million that the city would have to pick up to fix.
Oh, I did not see it on, it was an oversight. I didn't see it on the list of projects.
It started out as a $75,000 study and then three fundings of 273,000 piece to get up to just under $1 million. It was 937, as I recall, that the city took in their emergency funding.
I can do
Was
some
it
research.
one project or three? Is still three,
It
right?
would be four.
Four.
It was
Four projects.
a study design. It was three fundings at under 300, right around 300 at least each to get to $1 million to be able to do the project, which is now washing out and threatening to wash out houses, which the city had hoped could be funded by FEMA, but it is not going to be. And
FEMA doesn't fund it until the house is gone.
Yeah.
exactly.
One step.
But that being the case and the other projects are coming back, why is that one not coming back? And we could do revenue share with the city relative to fixing that problem potentially.
I'll do some research.
Okay, Mr. Sovereign.
I believe April 24th, the city council is holding a study session on next year's budget. And please let us know if that changes, because I think we should all be there. We can't do this job in a vacuum. We have to understand what's happening in the city budget as a whole, in my opinion.
Okay. Any other commissioner comments?
See everybody on the 4th.
Now, our next meeting is,
So the next scheduled meeting is April 11th, and we had sent out an email about attending a meeting on April 4th, but I don't think we need it. So the next meeting is April 11th.
and Jamie, you will be chairing that meeting. Yep, because I won't be able to do that remotely. So we're
Okay.
adjourned.